So this process of yoga is really to bring a person to this platform of actual spiritual realization, to begin to really explore the very nature of life itself. The understanding that is taught in all of the yoga texts is that within this universe, within this world that we know, there are actually only two types of energy, fundamental types of energy. One is called matter, and the other one is known as spirit. Matter has very specific characteristics. It is dull, meaning it is not vibrant, it is not, there is no light. I mean, look at a stone. Can you get any more dull than a stone or a piece of cement? This is matter. And the living being, which is the source of life, the source of all life energy, matter has very specific characteristics, and the particle of life or spirit also has unique and specific characteristics. One of the characteristics of life is consciousness or awareness. Matter, there is no such thing. And a very amazing thing happens when these two things come into very close proximity. When you take a living being and you clothe it in matter, that is, it has a material body, matter takes on completely different characteristics. You see things like growth. You see natural biological processes occurring in the presence of life. And when that life particle is removed, we see what we know as death, and we see matter begin to revert to much more basic constituent parts. It really completely breaks down. There is a very deep and a wonderful science in how this is going on. The living being actually has two bodies, a subtle body, which is not visible to the eyes, and a gross material body. The subtle body is made up of what is called the false ego, the intelligence, and the mind. The gross body is made up of the 5 gross material elements, and according to the laws of karma, people will accept different types of bodies and suffer from this common ailment of thinking, whatever body I got on, that's me. The living being, there is a yoga system known as the Sankhya yoga system. There are two types of Sankhya yoga. The very ancient Sankhya yoga system was developed by Kapila Deva. Kapila Deva was a incarnation, and he taught his mother, her name was Devahuti, this very amazing spiritual knowledge that makes it so a person can analytically discern the difference between spirit and matter. In more recent times, but still a long time ago from this period, there was another Kapila Dev who also taught a form of what he described as Sankhya Yoga, the analytical process of the distinction between life and matter. But it is classified even within Vedic terms as being atheistic. But this Sankhya Yoga system and process was a process by which a person deeply contemplated on life, on this world, trying to ascertain the truth about our existence. Applying some of those principles, we can come to learn quite a lot about the nature of the living being. All living beings share common characteristics. One of them is fear of death. I mean, have you ever had have you ever been extremely frightened? Or no? Yes. When I was a kid, I was actually not very pleasant. Not that I am now, but. And one of the things I used to do, we were like sitting in the living room and we're just little kids and watching television after dinner. And we'd turn the lights out. They'd just have a little light on in the room so you could see the television easily. And my brother would, get up and go off to use the bathroom. And I'd immediately jump up and go and put my hand in the freezer on the ice, and get it all cold. Then I'd run to the toilet and I'd lie on the floor outside the toilet and I'd turn out the light in the hallway. So he would open the door and turn the light out and he steps out into darkness and you can't see anything. Then I put my cold hand on his foot and just make a sound. And he'd just say, Of course, I always used to get into major trouble. I visit Mr. Fly Swat, my mother would beat me on the bum with it. But that fearfulness that exists in all living beings, that fearfulness of death, is there for a very specific reason. And the specific reason it exists and why people struggle for life, I mean, all you've got to do is try and kill someone and watch how major a fight they put up. And it occurs even with animals, with insects. You attempt to kill them and they're going to fight for their life. The reason is because part of our spiritual nature is that we are eternal. The living being, it says in the Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when I or you or all these kings did not exist, nor will there be a time when we cease to be. The very nature of the living being is that we are eternal. And because it is our inherent spiritual nature, therefore, when we are covered with this body and completely engrossed in it, thinking this is me, when it starts going into a state of near death, there is panic. Or if there is a threat of death, there is great panic and great fearfulness, because it is so against our actual spiritual nature to die. In fact, there is no death. But because we are caught up in the idea that this body is me, and we know that death occurs to the body, when we face the possibility of death, it is completely frightening. And it is frightening for anyone. You visit any hospital, you old age home, you talk to people, and when that time is approaching, it is a very fearful time for the vast majority. So this desire for eternality, to not die, exists because it is part of our spiritual nature.